I know a lot of people in real estate that have made millions upon millions and millions, and they never can translate that online successfully. And you are crushing it with your content game here. And I wanted to ask you about like what are some of those strategies for people to get into that? As you said, if you don't do something, you don't know how to do it until you start doing it. So like in terms of the video world, like where would people start?
Well, yeah, you just you got to start by taking that action, man, making videos, right? Not being afraid of criticism or not being everybody's cup of tea, because you're just not going to be, right?
And by the way, again, I apologize for cutting you off here. The reason why I'm asking this is I'm just guessing that you have met hundreds of buyers, sellers, contractors, plumbers, electricians from all over the United States that aren't even your customers / clients, that you've probably inevitably done deals with or certain aspects of deals with that you never would have guessed. So this is very relevant for everybody in the space. So sorry about cutting you off there.
Yeah. Dude, when I first started, I'm thinking I'm going to be buying houses in Sioux City, Iowa, and I'm going to own a bunch of houses there. I own houses all over the country now because of social media, Mississippi, Florida, California, Texas, Iowa, Indiana, and that's because of the internet, and putting myself out there. It wasn't always easy. It isn't always easy. But then so you got to take action, be willing to feel like you look dumb, I guess, essentially, is because sometimes you might even look dumb. Hell, I'm sure I have plenty of times. Right. But the other thing is, I would say, is giving value. You can't, people sometimes are afraid of like, oh, I'm going to give all the information away and I'm going to give them my secrets and that, they're going to take it and go do stuff or what. First off, there's enough out there for everybody. So it's cool, and secondly, you want to give value. That's what got it. That's what did it for me, was giving actionable steps, and doing it. And then when I'm scrolling the internet, and scrolling social media, I'm not just doing it mindlessly. I'll see things that people are doing and it worked for them. So I'll add that element, or I'll take that and refine it a little bit and add that element to what I'm doing. But I still remember when I was doing the real estate, and then I started the Go Getter family. I didn't know how to be a teacher. I didn't know how to create repeatable steps and a process and a program, none of that stuff. So I paid a company, and they reached out to me in my Instagram DMs, and I thought they did well. So I went through their process, and what they were saying, was exactly what I needed. So I had to go out and borrow more money, even though I owned houses at that time. Truly, because I had to pay my debts from when I lost my job and was living on my credit cards and my checking account was empty. So when I did my first deals, I was catching up, and so when I found the information on how to, scale my business and reach a bigger audience, I was like, I got to do this, man. I got to do it. I was going to get a title loan on my car and some other stuff. But luckily I had two friends that loaned me a bit of money. I just talked to one of my friends. He's like, damn, man, I wish I'd have gave you more money, so yeah. So I did that. I wanted to collapse that timeline because I got tired of running into that wall face first in that dark room, looking for the light, and that's what it did. It collapsed the timeline for me. And I still remember when my first video went viral, dude, I had risked it all again on my first event. And I had my event in Sioux City, Iowa, which was a miscalculation on my behalf. And so I didn't make the money that I thought I was going to make from that event. So I was down again. But I still knew I had something here, and I had the footage from that event because I did end up getting a reasonable amount of people there. It was great. It was life changing for some. I just didn't make the money that I was supposed to. Well, 3 weeks later, a video goes viral. Boom, my first video on TikTok. And it's still up on there. It's got like 3.5 million, 3.6 million views. And so now it's like a fire hose going through a needle head. People trying to get in touch with me, wanting me to coach them, wanting to buy my course. So I reached back out to the people that I had paid, and I was outside of their program already. There's a timeline with all that stuff. And I was like, hey, now I had some value to bring. I got all these leads. I got these people that want me to mentor them. I can't handle all of this. I need your infrastructure. And so they helped. They got, part of the sales and helped me build out my system. And so it all comes from investing in myself and believing. Belief. When we believe, then we'll figure out the how. Everything I just told you was me believing, and then I figured out the how along the way when I'm in the midst of these situations. But belief is the strongest tool that we have.
And one thing led to another for you to build on that belief, right? You don't start with all the belief you need. You take one step at a time, right? And it just sounds like that's exactly what happened. I know we're running relatively short here on time, but I do want to ask, like, how did it help you in terms of these systems and processes? How did that help you when applying that to scaling deals and scaling other things? Because you had mentioned, something that's probably a little harder to find on the Go Getter family website and your information is that you do personal consulting, that people can fly you out. You talk about that on social media, but it's a little below there in your products, right? Specifically, I can imagine there's a reason for that, but I'll just leave it at that.
It's expensive,
right? And with that, right? But you're helping these guys solve some of these major problems, helping them scale. How did applying the digital assets in the digital world to real estate in the company help you with scaling as well? Because I think that's another element where people just get stuck. I can do deals, but I'm the guy, and that's it. I'm the guy. When I stop hunting, I stop eating. So talk to me about that.
Yeah. Well, success isn't a secret. It's a system, right? So if we put systems in place that are repeatable steps that each person can take, then you no longer are a business worker. You own an actual business, because a lot of people are solopreneurs or business workers where, like you said, if I'm no longer hunting, I'm no longer eating. Well, what happens is we don't do the boring stuff first. The boring stuff is where the money is made. That's where people get rich. And so I have an outreach process. I have an intake process. It's step by step for each position. So I've went through a lot of different team members along my journey, from being alone, starting it in the basement, to building a team, but without a system in place. So the very first thing you want to do as an entrepreneur, especially if you're doing it in the digital world, is you want to have an outreach system. So how are you talking to people, communicating with people in your DMs? And then what is your intake? What is that process for when you do get on a call with them? What is that process, right? You have that. That's the nerdy stuff. You have to sit behind your computer and put that together. So that way, every person has the same experience coming in and then going through the process. So now when you have scaled to the point of where you're not the one that's talking to them anymore, because that used to be me. Dude, I didn't answer your DM. Not the first one. My AI did, but I got a screenshot of it from my head of intake. And so that's how I knew that you DM'd me, because I have so many followers. It's hard to keep up. But I used to be the person that was, answering all the DMs, responding to all the comments. And so I had to systematize it. So if you do the boring stuff first, it takes a little bit of time. It takes more of your attention. But while you're doing the boring stuff, you can be more confident when you are going out there making those videos, because you won't waste those opportunities when they do come. That's the primary thing I could tell you. Do the boring stuff first. Build your systems.
What's going on, guys? If you like that clip right there, you will love the full interview. You can check that out right there. I'll see you on the next video. Oh, and subscribe, because we got a lot of big things coming up in the near future.